Hi, fourth graders. Today we are on Module 5, Lesson 18, and we will be doing some adding and subtracting fractions. So enter your table of contents, and then we will flip to your notes for page 1. Today our objective is that we can add and subtract more than 2 fractions, and we're going to focus on finding a couple of different ways to solve those addition and subtraction problems. So here's our first one. It says 1/8 plus 3/8 plus 4/8. I'm going to get a couple of different colors here to help me show you our different ways that I can add. So when I first look at this, I'm going to start by taking 1/8 and 3/8, and I know when I add that I get 4/8. But I'm not all the way completed because now I need to add in this other 4/8 that I had, and I can add that to equal 8/8. Now I know something else about 8/8, fourth graders. I know that I can give that another name, and that would be 1 whole. So there's one way I can add 1/8 plus 3/8 plus 4/8. So I'm going to draw a little squiggly line to divide. And now we're going to find another new way to add this addition problem. So I'm going to rewrite 1/8 plus 3/8 plus 4/8. And if I'm going to choose another way to add it, I'm going to start right here and I'm going to say, okay, well, let's try it this way. Let's combine 3/8 and 4/8, and that gives me 7/8. But again, I can't be done because I need to tack this back on and say 1/8 plus 7/8 equals 8/8, and I know that I can also call that 1 whole. So fourth graders, our objective today is just finding some new different ways that I can use this adding and subtracting when I have more than just 2 fractions. So let's look at another example. I have 1/6 plus 4/6 plus 2/6. So I'm going to go ahead and just combine these two. And I know that 4/6 plus 2/6 equals 6/6. And so I'm going to add 1/6 plus 6/6 equals 7/6. So there's one way I can solve that. And I'm going to leave it just like that this time. Okay. But now I know another way I can solve it is to say, okay, let's combine these two again, and I get 6/6. But I know that 6/6 is the same thing as 1 whole. And now I can bring down 1 whole plus that leftover 1/6 equals 1 and 1/6. So there's another way I could write it. Let's draw another line. We're going to find one more way, so I'm going to rewrite my problem of 1/6 plus 4/6 plus 2/6 equals. And this time I'm going to go, well, let's take 1/6 and 2/6. That equals 3/6. Plus what was left is 4/6 equals 7/6. Now remember, here's another way I could also turn 7/6 and take that and give it a new name. Remember, when I have a fraction with a larger numerator, I can use a number bond to help me. So I'm going to look for my whole and the part. So my whole would be 6/6, and my leftover part would be 1/6. And I know I can rename that 1 and 1/6. So another way to show our work. Fourth graders, the important part today is that you show your work and show your thinking for all of these different strategies. All right, so here is our next one. This one's a little bit different. As you can see, I'm subtracting. 11/10 minus 4/10 minus 1/10 equals. Now, even though I'm subtracting, I'm going to start by combining these 2 fractions. And when I do that, I get 5/10. Okay, I'm going to combine them together. I know that seems backwards. I'm actually going to add these 2 together, and then I can say 11/10 minus 5/10 equals 6/10. So there's one way, and I can leave my answer just like that. Okay. This time, let's try it a little bit differently. So I'm going to start with my 11/10, okay, the largest piece, and I'm going to subtract 4/10, and that equals 7/10. And so right now I'm just going to go one step at a time. But I'm not finished yet because I know I still have this piece. So now I can say 7/10 minus 1/10 equals 6/10. And there's that answer again. I forgot to switch colors, didn't I? So sorry, fourth graders. All right, let's try one more strategy. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it again with my 11/10 minus. Now I already tried and I combined these two. I took away 4/10 first. So let's try subtracting 1/10. And when I do that, I get 10/10. But I'm not done yet because I still haven't subtracted this 4/10. So we'll do 10/10 minus 4/10 equals 6/10. And there was my last strategy. So we've done an excellent job of using all different kinds of strategies so far. Let's flip to that next page to look at some more examples. So this time I've got fractions on this one that's at least a whole or maybe more. And so I have 1 minus 3/12 minus 5/12. Now here's how I want to start. I want to rename that 1 to get it to where it looks like a fraction. And that means that I need to pay attention to what my denominator is, which is 12. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my 1 whole into 12/12. Okay, so I'm going to say my 1 whole got turned into 12/12. And now I'm going to subtract just one at a time. Minus 3/12, and that equals 9/12. But I'm not finished yet because I do need to take and subtract the 5/12. So I was left with 9/12 minus 5/12 equals 4/12. And there's that final answer. And let's try another strategy. Okay. This time, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to change my 1 into 12/12. Because the rest of them are fractions, I need my 1 whole to also look like a fraction so that I can subtract. Okay. Now, I'm going to combine and add together this 3/12 and 5/12. And when I do that, I get 8/12. And now I can take 12/12 minus the combination of 8/12. And that equals 4/12 once again. Okay, we're going to move on. Our goal is to find at least 2 ways that I can solve each of these problems, and that's what will be expected on your problem set and your exit ticket, is that you solve each example in 2 ways. Okay? So let's check this one out. 5/8 plus 4/8 plus 1/8. So I'm going to start just by combining these two, adding those together to equal 9/8. So I have 5/8 plus 4/8 equals 9/8. And now I can add on my one last, 8th, and that equals 10. Oh, goodness, I can't write my numbers today. 10/8. And I'm going to leave that one just like that. But I know I can solve this again, and I can rename that 10/8. So this time I'm going to say, all right, let's stick with 5/8 plus, and I'm going to combine these two, add those two up together to get 5/8, 4/8 plus 1/8. And I know that 5/8 plus 5/8 equals 10/8. But I notice that because my numerator is larger than my denominator, my answer is greater than 1 whole. So I'm going to take my 10/8 and I'm going to create a number bond to see how I can rewrite that. So remember, when I do that, I'm looking for my whole and my part. My whole would be 8/8. And then the leftover part is 2/8. And I know 8/8 is 1 whole, and I stick on my part of 2/8. So 10/8 is equal to 1 2/8. All right, we've got one last problem to look at, fourth graders. And it says 1 1/5 minus 2/5 minus 3/5. All right, well, I'm going to combine these two. This is my first strategy. I'm going to say, okay, 2/5 and 3/5, well, that makes 5/5. Well, I'm going to look a little bit. So I have 1 whole and 1/5 minus 5/5. Well, I'm going to just pay attention right now to this 1 whole. If I were to rename, and I could say, okay, let's do 1 whole minus 5/5. Isn't that just like saying 5/5 minus 5/5? And that equals 0. But I had something left. So what was left? If you said 1/5, you are correct, and that's our answer. Because I only took away from this 1, and I had my 1/5 left here. Okay, so that was one strategy. Okay, now I'm going to look and see, okay, well, let's just rename my 1 1/5. And if I renamed my 1 1/5, I'm going to think out loud. 1 is the same thing as 5/5. Right? So I'm going to say, we're going to turn this and go 5/5, and then I had plus 1/5, and that's the same thing as 6/5. So now, instead of 1 1/5, I'm going to say I have 6/5 minus 2/5 minus 3/5. So I'm going to focus right here first. 6/5 minus 2/5 equals 4/5 minus 3/5 was left, and that equals 1/5, which is my same answer. You did a great job today, fourth graders. Don't forget, on your exit ticket and problem set, you need to solve in 2 ways.